Hello everybody, this is Evan Rogers coming at you with another video for evanseasyjapanese.com. This is a request from a Patreon donor. I have somebody who's been donating money. He's actually the individual who wanted me to draw some Sailor Moon and stuff. So he was curious about using koto and no and how to nominalize clauses, which maybe he didn't know how to call that actually nominalization of clauses. Either way, he's a donor and he's getting a video. Using koto and no, nominalizing clauses. Let's get this started! Alright, first, what the heck does nominalization mean? What the heck is a clause? And what are all the prerequisites you're going to need to know what the heck I'm talking about in this video? We're going to talk about this. First, let's talk about nominalization. Nominalization is when you turn something that is not a noun into a noun. So, a noun is something like foot, or refrigerator, or, you know, person, place, thing, or idea. Cheerios, or a book. Maybe I already said that one. But if you want to turn something that's not a noun into a noun, something like eat, that's a verb. But we want to turn that into, you know, something like I like to eat, but we want to turn it into a noun, so we're going to change it into I like eating. In English, we do this through the ing. It's called a gerund, or in Japanese they call them domeishis. That's what we mean by nominalizing something. We turn something that isn't a noun into a noun. And with what the heck is a clause? Well, we'll get to that later. So, anyway, you should understand how to make clauses, or at least how to identify them. We'll go over this in the video. We should have an understanding of what a clause is. I think I just wrote that. Obviously, you need to learn hiragana, katakana. You need to know that koto, that kanji right there, is read as koto because I'm going to be using it a lot. And you need to be able to identify not adjectives especially because they're going to get used a lot. Alright, so nominalizing clauses. What is a clause? Let's see what a clause is in English first. So let's look at sentence number 1. The man is eating cake. It's one clause. That's an entire clause. There's a subject and he's performing an action. We call that an independent clause because it can be independent. Just by itself, it's a sentence. It's a clause. There is a man and he's eating cake. That's a clause. So basically, every sentence you've ever read in your life is a clause. Especially the shorter ones. So now let's look at number 2. The man is wearing a hat. Perfect, another clause. Now, this might be confusing because I chose to use eating and wearing in both of them, but it could just be the man wears a hat, or the man wore a hat. All of those are also clauses. As long as there's a subject and there's a verb, and the subject is performing the verb, obviously. That's the important part, actually. I should be more careful about that. As long as there's a subject and a predicate, that is, the subject is performing an action. There is a complete idea being expressed. As long as there's a subject and a predicate, we have a clause. So the man wore a hat, is wearing a hat, wears a hat, anything that he does like that. It could even be the man is a hat. That would even be a clause by itself. Even though the man isn't doing anything, he just is a hat. Is being affected by the man. This is a clause, it's an independent clause. All of those were independent clauses. But now let's look at number 3. The man who is wearing a hat is eating cake. This is actually 2 clauses. We have 2 clauses going on here. Obviously it's one clause, the man who's wearing a hat is the subject and he is eating cake. But if you notice, I had to I sort of, to make it a coherent statement, I had to add the word he there. Listen one more time. The man who is wearing a hat, he is eating cake. I didn't have to add he there, but it sort of clarifies it. The man that's wearing a hat is eating cake. So the man who is wearing a hat is a dependent clause. There is a man, he is wearing a hat, and thus it's a clause. However, if I just said the man who's wearing a hat, that doesn't actually mean something. That doesn't actually have any meaning. That's just the subject of the sentence. That's not actually a sentence in and of itself. Thus, it's a dependent clause. It needs something else to function properly. The man who is wearing a hat, is eating cake. If we look at the other clause that's in the sentence, the man is eating cake, that's an independent clause. It's an entire sentence. It makes sense by itself. These are clauses. They're essentially mini sentences. As long as there's a subject and that subject has a predicate affecting it or vice versa, it's a clause. There's a subject and a verb. And they're both related. Alright, nominalizing clauses in English. Let's look at how we nominalize a verb in English. So I already talked about this. I eat sandwiches. I enjoy sandwiches. I enjoy eating sandwiches. That's a nominalized verb, eating, right there. The dog is barking. Loud noises are annoying. The dog's barking is annoying. That's another nounified verb, barking. I like to swim. When I swim, I have fun. Swimming is fun. Notice swimming is a noun. Even though it's obviously swim. It came from swim. It's a nominalized noun. We are painting. This one is not a noun. But is it? You know, it's this weird feeling. I am not good at it. I am not good at painting. Painting comes from the word paint, which is the verb, or also the noun, like to actually put paint on a piece of paper, like the actual stuff you put on the paper. But here we're kind of using it as a verb, but it's a noun. So are they verbs? Are they nouns? You can kind of see the confusing situation we're in. They're actually called gerunds in English, and in Japanese we call them domeishi. This is the do for doshi as verb, and mei as in meishi as a noun. So it's actually verb nouns. So they're literally called verb nouns in Japanese. Movement nouns. So once again, I eat sandwiches, I enjoy sandwiches. I is a subject, enjoy is the verb. Eating sounds like it's a verb, but it's really a noun. I enjoy eating sandwiches. It's almost like eating sandwiches is an activity, but it's a singular idea. The dog's barking is annoying. Now notice how that's the dog is barking. That's not correct. The dog's barking is the dog owns the barking, and it is annoying. Swimming is fun. Swimming is a noun. I mean, there's no way that could be a verb, and yet it comes from the word swim. Anyway, these are gerunds. This is how we nominalize clauses in English. There's other ways as well, but this is the biggest one, using gerunds. Alright, nominalizing clauses in Japanese. How to? Let's see some basic clauses in Japanese. So, step one, let's see what some clauses look like in Japanese. You might not know how to read these kanji, so I'm going to put on my doing and jam it over here. So, kore ga oishii. Kore ga oishii. Notice we don't need a des there because we're talking in casual form. Casual form doesn't need the des if it ends in an e adjective. Kore ga oishii. This is tasty. This is tasty. Fransu ni iku. Fransu ni iku. There's a subject and it's going to go to France. I will go to France. Fransu ni iku. I will go to France. Kesa nomimashita yo. Kesa nomimashita yo. Kesa is this morning, now morning. Nomimashita yo. I drank. I drank something this morning. I drank it this morning, or I drank some juice this morning or something. Sore wa inu desu. That is a dog. Sore wa inu desu. Pizza o taberu. Taberu is to eat. Pizza is pizza. I eat pizza. Sora wa ao desu. Sora, sky, wa ao, blue, desu. The sky is blue. Kirei desu ne. Kirei is pretty. Desu is. Ne is don't you agree? Isn't it beautiful? Alright. Sore wa kantan da. Kantan is a not adjective, thus we add da at the end of the sentence. These are all clauses. Sore wa, that. Kantan, easy is. That is easy. These are just basic sentences, nothing fancy. That's what a clause is. There's a subject, although unmentioned in many of them, and there is a predicate. Those subjects have something happening to them, or they are doing something. Those are your subjects and your predicates. These are clauses. Alright, now let's nominalize clauses how to. This is actually how to do it. Okay, so preparation. Nouns are already nouns, so why the heck would you bother nominalizing a noun? That's just not something you would do. Number B. Verbs need to be in the plain form, so put those verbs in your plain form. So instead of tabemasu or tabemashita, we're going to have taberu or tabeta. E adjectives, don't put the des in there, because the end of a clause with an e adjective is just the e adjective. So no des at the end of an e adjective. E adjectives should not have des after them. Not adjectives should have the na after them, but not the des. So with not adjectives and turning them into nominalized clauses, you know, nominalizing them, if they're the end of the clause, we don't need the des, but we do need the na. And then you just add no or koto to the end of whatever you just did in step 1. So no is found more in written Japanese, but it's also found in spoken, obviously. B, no is used more for actual things. Like if it's actually a thing, like the eating of a chicken, that feels more like a thing than it is a koto. A koto is used more for verby, non-actual things. So like, I don't know, the watching of TV is almost, I don't know, it's this vague thing that you're gonna have to get used to. It's difficult to describe it, but when you see no, it's much more of a thing, and which with koto, it's much more of a it still has a feeling of an activity. And boom, you've nominalized your clause. You've nominalized your verb or your adjective or whatever it is that you're doing. Treat it like a noun. Throw the o particle after it. Throw the ga particle after it. Throw a mo particle after it. Throw a ni after it. You know, whatever part, however you're going to treat a noun, that entire clause is going to be treated like a noun because you just nominalized the clause. You just turned that entire sentence into a clause, or into a noun, I'm sorry, into a noun. So treat it like a noun. Here's some examples. So these are all the sentences that we did earlier. Kore ga oishii, France ni iku, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just going to turn them into clauses with another sentence. Kore ga oishii, this is tasty. And then we also have kare wa tabetai desu. Kare wa he tabetai desu, wants to eat. So kore ga oishii, kare ga tabetai desu. So how about we make this sentence, he wants to eat the tasty ones, the tasty things, the tasty gizmos he wants to eat. So we say, kare wa oishii no ga tabetai desu. This could also be an o particle because tabetai can operate like a verb or an adjective. Kare wa oishii no ga tabetai desu. He wants to eat the tasty things. He wants to eat the tasty ones. I'm not sure why this is underlined actually. I guess just showing that this is a clause right here. Oishii no ga tabetai. He is wanting to eat the tasty things. This is actually a clause right here in the red. I don't know why this is underlined. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. Okay, so oishii, tasty, kare, he, tabetai, want to eat. It's an e adjective. Kare wa oishii no ga tabetai desu. He wants to eat the tasty ones. Alright? So you turned oishii, which was an e adjective, into a noun. You nominalized the clause. Alright, let's check out France ni iku. Sorry, that's my English. France ni iku. And then we have taihen desu. It's difficult. I will go to France. It's difficult. Iku, go. Taihen, difficult. Going to France is difficult. Alright, so France ni iku is I will go to France. So let's turn it into going to France. So France ni iku koto ga. France ni iku koto. That's your clause right there. You just threw koto at the end of that plain verb. France ni iku koto ga taihen desu. It's difficult. What's difficult? Going to France. Going to France is difficult. France ni iku koto ga taihen desu. That's just all you have to do. That's that easy. You just have your plain form verb, throw koto or no after it, then turn it into a sentence. Treat it like a noun. Alright. Kesa nomimashita. Oh, I actually have 8. I'm sorry, this should be drink. I was going to use tabemasu, then I changed it, blah, blah, blah. That should be, sorry, right here, this should be drink. This should be drank. This morning I drank something. Sorry, here we have it right. Nomimashita, drank. Apologies, just my bad, I missed it. Kesa this morning, nomimashita, drank. Ski deshita, I liked it. Whatever it was, I liked it. Ski des is to like, this is past tense deshita. So, how about I like what I drank this morning? So, we have nomimashita, so I drank something. So, let's say what I drank. What I drank. I drank something is an independent clause. Let's turn it into a dependent clause. What I drank. What I drank. We're going to turn this into a clause. So, kesa nonda no ga suki deshita. So, notice how we chose no because it's a thing that you drank. So, kesa nonda koto. And notice how also we're combining this all together as the one clause. Kesa nonda no. This is all one thing. In the morning I drank thing. The thing that I drank in the morning ga suki desu. This is all together. This is all together. It isn't kesa suki deshita. That doesn't make sense. I liked it this morning. I mean, I guess that could make sense, but that's not really what we're trying to say. It's kesa nonda no. What I drank in the morning ga suki deshita. I liked what I drank in the morning. Notice how the past tense nature of nonda almost forces no to be a specific thing. So this is the nominalization of this, and because it's past tense, we definitely did it. The thing that we drank was a thing, right? So it turns it almost into a specific thing as opposed to something vague, and thus we kind of need to use the particle no here. Thus we end up with a translation of what I drank as opposed to the drinking, which isn't a thing. If it had been kesa nomu koto ga suki desu, if it had been kesa nomu koto ga suki desu, it would be better translated as I like drinking in the morning. Hopefully you can see how that works because nomu is a verb that happens habitually and kesa is still kesa. So nomu would be something that you do regularly. So it's almost like the action of drinking is what you like, whereas nonda is much more you drank a thing. So you wouldn't, I don't think that the sentence, I liked drank in the morning, it just doesn't make sense. You can't say that. Even in English, it's impossible. Thus, using nonda no turns this, we have to use the no because it's a thing that we drank, right? So here it's the habitual drinking in the morning because nomu is habitual, so I had to change it to koto. It would be better translated as I like drinking in the morning and almost forces the usage of koto instead of no. I didn't want to say it does force the usage of koto just because I'm sure that there's some situation I'm not thinking of. But yeah, in general, if you're going to be using habitual verbs, you're going to be using koto a lot more because those are more vague actions as opposed to individual events. Alright, so the next sentence we had sore wa inu desu. If you look at that sentence though, we have sore, a noun, and inu, a noun. So we can't really do anything. We can't nominalize a noun. Kuroshimashou, let's kill it. That was just to make, a dramatic, terrifying sentence for everybody to latch onto. Inu's dog, kuroshimashou, is to let's kill. So that poor little puppy right there. But see all the red X's, that means we can't do it, so we're not going to kill it, okay? So don't worry, the puppy's still alive and well. However, if we want to make the sentence, let's kill that dog, we don't need to nominalize anything, okay? We don't need to nominalize anything. Sore is a noun and inu is a noun. However, let's use sore to describe inu. Since we've been using verbs to... See how we used a verb to describe a thing, what I drank this morning? And we used a verb to describe an habitual thing that we like to do? Going to France. You see how we're using verbs to describe nouns? And we're using a verb to describe a noun? Well here, let's try to use sore to describe inu. Oh, look at that, it turned into sono inu o kuroshimashou. Sono inu. So, did I just blow your mind? Did I just blow your mind? Sore and sono, all that time you spend trying to figure out, wait, sore is a noun and like sono is an adjective? Like what? It's because, or I don't know which one came first, obviously I don't have my Japanese history of the language in front of me. I don't have that book. But if you noticed, we used the no to turn the sore into an adjective. In order to use the adjective to describe a noun, we change it to a no, just like we've been doing in these past sentences. Oishino, we used an adjective to describe a noun. The tasty ones, oishino, the tasty ones. And then here we're using sono to do an inu. Did I blow your mind? That's where that no comes from. That's where that no from sore and sono comes from. Or I mean, it probably does. I guess I don't know for sure, but it'd be one hell of a coincidence if it wasn't it? Alright, so maybe I just blew your mind. If this blew your mind, you got a thumbs up and like me and share it with all your friends because I think that's a big deal to have an insight like that. Alright, let's go on to the next one. We have pizza o taberu. I eat pizza. Notice how this is a habitual event. I do this. Amari suki janai desu. I don't really like it. I don't really like something. Taberu is to eat, ski is to like. So I don't really like eating pizza. Well, this one should be easy. We just throw a koto after taberu, right? So, because taberu is already in the plain form. If it was tabemasu, we change it to taberu koto. And it's habitual, so it's much more of a koto than it is a no. It could be a no, but it doesn't really have to be. Koto is more common here. Pizza o taberu koto wa ammari suki janai desu. Okay, so I went with suki janai desu. It could be suki de wa arimasen. In fact, I almost said de wa arimasen. Or even jarimasen. Anyway, I added an n there. Anmari suki janai desu. Notice how the past tense... Oh, I apparently just copied the slide and didn't bother deleting all that crap on the bottom. Ignore the crap on the bottom of the slide, cause whoops, I didn't delete it, and I'm too lazy to go back and re-record everything. Yeah. Okay, so all that, notice how the past tense crap, just ignore it, please. So, hopefully you're able to do that one on your own. This was an easy one. Pizo taiberu koto wa amari suki janai desu. Boom. Easy. Alright, let's check up here. We have sora, sky. Ao, this is blue, but notice how it's not aoi, it's a noun, it's ao. Desu, the sky is blue. Sora wa kirei desu ne. The sky is pretty, isn't it? Okay, so sora, noun, blue, noun. We can't really nominalize this. So if we want to say the blue sky is pretty, isn't it? I mean, if we want to combine these two together, we just say aoi sora. I mean, that's how adjectives work. So ao is a verb, but let's, not adjectify it, and we get aoi sora wa kirei desu ne. So once again, noun, we can't really nominalize nouns because they're already nominalized. So why waste our time trying to think of some crazy new scheme? No language speakers in the world would spend time doing this. I mean, could you imagine having a language where you nominalize nouns occasionally? It would just, I mean, I guess if you wanted to invent a stupid language, you could do that. But anyway, ao and sora are both nouns, and thus we can't really nominalize them. Thus we use the adjective ao. We already explained that. All right, great. So, aoi sora wa kirei desu ne. The blue sky is pretty, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. Kirei desu ne. Hoshii desu. Alright, so kirei desu ne is it's pretty, isn't it? Hoshii desu. I want it! Kirei, pretty. I want the pretty one. Kirei na no ga hoshii desu. I want the pretty one. Let's say there's 10 puppies and all of them are ugly except for one. Kirei na no ga hoshii. It wouldn't be kirei no ga hoshii. I'm sure that you could do that and people would understand it, but the correct grammar is kirei na no ga hoshii. Kirei na no ga hoshii. I want the pretty one. Because this shows you, with the na still being there, this shows you that this is still kind of a noun all on its own. This is kind of a noun all on its own, and we still need to modify it properly. When we get to more nominalizations, you're going to see that we can just throw verbs in front of any noun and describe it. But here, we're using the na adjective into a no. The no is sort of a replacement of a noun. We're sort of using a no instead of a noun. So I want the pretty one. Notice how in English we use the word one, even though we're not saying I want a pretty. We're saying I want the pretty one. One is sort of a pronoun for thing. Alright, kirei na no ga hoshii desu. I want the pretty one. Sore wa kantan da. Notice how there's no na after here because it's in the predicate. I'm sorry, the predicate position. So there's no need for na there. Sore wa kantan da. That's easy. Shitakunai. I don't want to do it. Shitai is want to do. Shitakunai is I don't want to do. So kantan, easy. If we want to say the sentence, I don't want to do easy things. Kantan no koto wa shitakunai. I don't want to do easy stuff. I don't want to do anything that's easy. Kantan no koto wa shitakunai. I don't want to do things that are easy. I use the wa here to emphasize the difference between things that might not be easy. So maybe there's easy stuff and there's non-easy stuff, and I'm saying kantan no koto wa, we're talking about kantan no koto. I don't want to do it. That's something I don't want to do. Kantan no koto wa shitakunai. I don't want to do the easy stuff. I want to do the difficult stuff. Muzukashii koto wa shitai. So anyway, use the wa particle to show contrast. You should already know that, hopefully, at this point. Alright, let's look at some special usages of koto. So if we have past tense verb plus koto plus ga arimasu, so koto ga arimasu with the past tense verb, so shita koto ga arimasu, it means that you have done something, you have the experience of doing the verb. So nihongo o benkyou shita koto ga nai, there's a negative of arimasu, the negative plane. It means I have never studied Japanese. No, I have not studied Japanese. I have not studied Japanese. Nihongo o benkyou shita. I studied Japanese yesterday. I did study Japanese yesterday. Koto, the studying of Japanese, ga nai, does not exist. The having, the studied of Japanese, the studied of Japanese is not existent. Is literally what you're saying. Nihongo o benkyou shita. I studied Japanese. Turn that into a noun. The study of Japanese, ga nai, does not exist. This is just a special usage Nihongo benkyou shita koto wa nai. I have never studied Japanese. Here we don't usually use a no. In these patterns we're not using no's. These are kotos. These are specifically for kotos, okay? League of Legends wa yatta koto ga aru yo. I have had the experience of playing League of Legends. League of Legends, League of Legends wa. Regarding League of Legends, yatta koto ga aru yo. Yatta is did. Koto is, once again, stuff. Ga aru, I have the experience of having played Japanese. I have played League of Legends. Sorry, I misspoke. I have played League of Legends. I use the wa particle there to say maybe not a different game. Well, I have never played Overwatch, but I have played League of Legends. Alright, using koto with a plain tense verb, or I should say, non-past tense verb plus ga arimasu. Koto ga arimasu. There are times when verbs happen. Nihon ni iku koto ga aru. I sometimes go to Japan. Nihon ni iku koto ga aru. There are times when I go to Japan. Going to Japan does happen for me. So once again, Nihon ni iku koto, the going to Japan ga aru. That stuff does exist. So my going to Japan does exist. I sometimes go to Japan. Hayaku okiru koto ga arimasen. Hayaku okiru koto ga arimasen. I don't really wake up early. Arimasen, that does not exist. Hayaku okiru koto, the waking up early, it doesn't happen. Me waking up early? No. I don't wake up early. There are... Never do I wake up early. I would like to say never, but, that's not quite what we're saying. We're just saying it doesn't happen. There are times... There are not times when I wake up early. I do not wake up early. That's how we have to translate something like that. Clause plus koto ni suru. So the subject decides upon a clause. You're gonna make your koto happen. You're gonna make your koto happen. So ni suru is to make something happen. Ni suru is to make something happen or to decide upon something. So the subject decides upon clause. We're gonna do clause. Maku de taberu koto ni shimashita. So maku is McDonald's, de taberu, eating at McDonald's, koto, the eating at McDonald's, ni shimashita. It's a special definition. We're making the eating at McDonald's happen, aka we've decided to eat at McDonald's. Maku de taberu koto ga... Maku de taberu koto ni shimashita. We've decided to eat at McDonald's. Nihon ni nokoru. This might be a new kanji for you. Nokoru. Koto ni shimashita. This is to stay in Japan. Nihon ni nokoru. To stay in Japan. Let's say you live in Japan and you're like, I'm going to stay another year. Nihon ni nokoru koto ni shimashita. I've decided to stay in Japan. Okay, so it has been decided, I have made the conscious choice of deciding to stay in Japan. Notice how in both of these example sentences, the subject is making a decision and is going to carry out the decision. The subject is in control of his destiny. This is in contrast to koto ni naru. It has come to be that clause will happen. Clause has been decided outside of the control of the speaker or subject. So koto ni naru and koto ni suru are very similar, but naru is out of the control of the speaker, or out of the control of many things. Yameru koto ni narimashita. So it's almost like I'm going to have to quit. It's come to be that I must quit. Like, my boss hates me, nobody respects me, nobody watches my videos, I don't ever get a donation, so yameru koto ni narimashita. It has come that I must stop doing something. Alright, next we have Nihon ni nokoru koto ni natta. So just like the previous sentence, Nihon ni nokoru koto ni shimashita, Nihon ni nokoru koto ni natta. These are the exact same sentence, just with this shita turning into a natta. It's just, it has been decided that I will stay in Japan. Let's say that you're working for a big power company and you're in Japan, and they're going to force you to stay for another year. So, Nihon ni nokoru koto ni natta. It has been decided by people I don't want to piss off, and it's beyond my control, that I'm going to stay in Japan. Now this ni natta might seem foreign to Western speakers and probably Americans in general. Because I always say to Japanese people that I tutor, when they say shogunai, it can't be helped. I'm like, no. There is a choice that you can make, but you're just choosing not to. And Japanese people, think it's weird that we think that way. I'm not even joking. Every time that I say this, people are like, oh, you crazy Americans. I'm not even joking when I say this. When I talk to Japanese people and I say, no, you do have a choice and you're just not choosing to do it, they look at me weird and they say, oh, you're a crazy American. Oh, yeah, this is the land of the free, isn't it? Ha 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 ha. And even if I'm saying it deadpan with a straight face, they respond with that. So this ninaru might be a little bit difficult for Americans to use because we're very much F you, I'm doing what I want to, and it just so happens that you're part of my plans. Even if I'm just a worker at McDonald's, I'm choosing to work under this manager. You know, this manager might be employing me, but without me, he's not getting cheap labor to make fries and he's going to lose money. This is a weird idea that you might have, but sorry if you're a crazy socialist, but once again, America is a very free country, and I know this sounds like I'm being propagandizing, but this is a cultural thing that has manifested itself in the language, and we need to discuss it. And I'm sorry if this comes out like a weird thing, but people in America are very much, I never realized it, but thinking I always have a choice in every situation is something you have learned, and it is something that is beaten out of Japanese people, maybe. I guess I should say I don't know which one has happened. Maybe we were born and it never got taken away, and in Japan it did get taken away, or maybe we were born and this was instilled upon us, and in Japan it's never been instilled upon them. But for whatever reason, this is a somewhat of a hang-up in the Japanese language. For English, you know, the translation between English and Japanese, this can have a problem. Anyway, I'll stop talking about crazy cultural differences because I might come off like a racist or some sort of crazy nationalist. But there is an issue going on here, and I have seen it before. Alright, here's another one. Plain verb, koto ga dekiru. This is just a fancy way of saying you're able to do this. You're able to do whatever the clause is. Nihongo o hanasu koto ga dekiru. Nihongo o hanasu koto ga dekiru. I can speak Japanese, so nihongo o hanasu, to speak Japanese. Koto, the speaking of Japanese, ga dekiru, is able to be done. I am able to speak Japanese. Ie o tateru koto wa dekinai hazu da. So this was a little bit more complicated because I wanted to give you a fun one. Ie o tateru is to build a house, to construct a house. Koto, the construction of a house. Ga dekinai. You can't do this. It's unable to be done. Hazu da. It's expected that, you know, it's a general thought that they are unable to construct a house. I doubt they can build a house. They probably can't build a house. There's no way they can build a house. Ie o tateru koto wa dekinai hazu da. Okay, so basically, you could also change this to ie o tateru koto wa dekiru hazu wa nai. Hazu ga nai. There is no expectation that they can build a house, but same thing. Alright, these are just some fun sentences to show you the difference between koto and the special uses of koto. And I hope you figured out, or at least gotten a better feeling of nominalizing clauses and treating verbs like nouns and adjectives like nouns. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked what you just saw, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let everyone you know that there's an easy place to learn Japanese with a cool guy like me. Consider a one-time donation or becoming a patron, where you can easily donate month by month, $1, $2, or however much you would like to give. All links are below. Follow me on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and be sure to check out the free Quizlet flashcards that you can get online, easy peasy. Thanks again for watching, and have yourself a holly jolly day. See ya, guys.